Welcome back. It's still Good Morning Nigeria, live on the network service of the NTA. Earlier, we told you that our discussion this morning centers on issues in the housing sector. And to own a home in Nigeria, is it a click away? Well, or is this sector clicking at all? So many questions, really. Oyemi Ajayi has a background report put together. Let's see that before we see our guest. Stay with us.
In the world of today, in basis of importance, housing is as essential as other basic need in life. In Nigeria, the narrative is the same, but affordability is hence a major problem. In the recent data-driven metrics from the Federal Ministry of Housing and Urban Development, Nigeria's housing deficit is officially pegged at approximately 15 million units. Experts believe this is due to rapid population growth and urban migration outpace new construction. Aside this, many blame high cost of building materials, weak mortgage access, difficult land registration rules, and low purchasing power, said to make affordable houses scarce. Research reveals that millions of existing homes are classified as structurally inadequate or substandard due to the rapid urbanization, high poverty rates, and population growth. Some say, as a way of curbing this challenge, there is a need to build hundreds of thousands of new homes annually. So far, the federal government had intensified efforts to address the crisis through policy reforms, housing projects, and strategic partnerships with the private sector. It should be noted that the highlighted federal government's housing intervention programs, including the Ministry of Finance Incorporated Real Estate Investment Fund, which provides mortgage financing at a single-digit interest rate of 9.75% with repayment periods of up to 20 years. Some have also opined that most unaccommodated estates in the country should be taken over by the government and given as low-cost housing to the low-income earners. Also, there is the need to key solutions including reforming land administration, lowering cost of building materials, expanding low-interest mortgage, and boosting public-private partnerships, aside reducing cost of housing in the country. Now, what more should be done to address the housing deficit in the country? Our guests already seated in the studio will be answering these major questions shortly.
They will be asking these major questions, and I'm sure our viewers watching us are waiting to hear what is in store for them. So we'll be expecting your messages, your contributions and your comments on this topic as we discuss it. And now joining us here in the studio is Mr. Temitope. He's the Director of Public Buildings and Housing Development, Federal Ministry of Housing and Urban Development. He's joining us here on very short notice as Dr. Muttaka Rabe, the Honorable Minister of Housing and Urban Development, is experiencing a little flight delay and may not make it on time for this conversation. You're welcome to Good Morning Nigeria. It's a pleasure to.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time.
It's also a delight to have with us the Managing Director and Chief Executive of the Federal Housing Authority, Honorable Oyetunde Oladimeji Ojo. Many thanks for joining us.
Good morning, thank you, and morning viewers at home.
Yes, we call you Triple O. And also joining us via Zoom is Damola Akindolire. He's a consultant he's a consultant, principal consultant, C23 Consultants Limited. Thank you so much for joining us.
Everybody, and good to see you again.
All right, let's begin this conversation. I would like to begin with the representative of the Honorable Minister of Housing. I mean, the housing deficit is massive. I don't want to look at the statistics because, it affects almost everyone, and it's not a good one. Speak to us about what is currently happening in the housing sector in Nigeria as a foundation for this conversation.
Good morning, Nigeria. I'm happy to be here to talk about the housing. As you mentioned, as of now, we have about 15 million housing deficit, and it's a concern for the government, and government is addressing it headlong. When the government of President Tinubu came in with Renew Hope agenda, we are addressing it in 3 prongs. Number 1 is the Renew Hope housing estate, which we are building in many of the state. We are building 250 housing units in each of the state. As of now,
250
housing units.
Okay.
As of now, we are constructing in about 15 states. As of now, we are constructing 1-bedroom flat, 2-bedroom, and 3-bedroom flats. And the other one is the Renew Hope Housing City, which we are in partnership with the developers. In Abuja here, the houses are in Kasana. About 2,800 is ongoing, and we intend to commission it before the end of this year, even by October. We are also in partnership with the developers in Kano. They are constructing about 2,000 housing units there. Likewise in Lagos, they are constructing about 2,000 housing units in the Bejuleki, and these houses are meant for Nigeria, just to reduce the housing gap and to ensure that every Nigerian are carried along. That is an inclusive government to ensure that there's equality. And the third aspect of it is the Renew Hope social housing. The government is intending to build 100 housing units in every local government. That is 774 local governments. We are about to kickstart it, and it's for the vulnerables, it's for the orphans, it's for the widows, it's for the low-income earners, it's for the no-income earners. And the construction will soon start.
The construction will soon start. You know, we've been hearing about the Karsana housing estate, and of course, you know, the country, you know, buildings. But how many? Can you talk to us about how many has been completed and occupied?
Yeah, the Karsana housing, as I said, is the developer. The developer, they came with the land, they came with the finances, and they came with the expertise. The government, the ministry only guaranteed them the off-taker. And as of now, the completed one, it has been oversubscribed. The consultant will be able to shed more light on it. But people are subscribing. And we even intend to, commission the one they have completed, which is about 1,000. But before we know, other one has sprung up. And so they want to complete the whole 2,800 housing units before the commission.
I think another question on my mind would be how affordable these houses are. What are the prices? I mean, these are houses built by government. Are they subsidized? Is it what an average Nigerian can afford?
Yeah, affordability maybe in time of price or in time of access. Like the one government is building, the 1-bedroom is 8.5 million. The 2-bedroom is 11.5 million. And the 3-bedroom is 12.5 million. And the payment option, you can either access it, pay outright, it can be rent to own, it can be mortgage, it can be by installment. And so he gives you opportunity as your capability is.
Quite interesting.
Yes, it sounds good, you know. It sounds good on paper, but in reality now, you know, is it only for civil servants? Do you need to have years in service and also before you proceed?
No, the houses are for Nigerians. It's not meant for only civil servants, wherever you are. And that is why you can access it through the website, Renew Hope Homes, fmhud.gov.ng.
Okay, we'll get that so that
outside the country.
Okay, we'll get that so that we'll put it on the screen later so that Nigerians can see and find ways to subscribe. Let's return to to our MD, Managing Director and Chief Executive of the Federal Housing Authority. Now, is in your thought. That's your forte. Can you tell us what's actually going on in the housing sector?
Well, thank you very much. Good morning, viewers at home once again. Thanks for having us at the studio. Well, Federal Housing Authority of Nigeria is an agency under the Ministry of Housing and Urban Renewal. And it's an agency that has been established probably since 1975. Presently under the Federal Housing Authority, like I said, we are an agency under the Ministry of Housing. This is the first time of its kind that we are building out for Nigeria without taking subvention from government, because since 2003, Federal Housing Authority of Nigeria is not in the budgetary of federal government. We are here to also complement what the ministry is doing, which is our parents' body. As we speak today, we have completed a 400 housing unit in Buhari. Buhari is just beside Law School in Abuja. That will be commissioned very soon by the Minister, Mr. President. As we also speak to you today, we've been doing some commissioning in Ibadan, Ajoda, which we did last year. We've done commissioning in Abuja, in Lugbe, about 100 and something housing units. We need here also not just to think of ourselves alone. As we speak today, we are about commissioning a project now under 2-3 months, like I said, under the ministry as well. That's about 1,500 post-army scheme. It's already on ground in GB. GB is in Niger, Abuja, that shares boundary with Niger State. That one is on ground. We've also started launching our 200 housing unit. Groundbreaking has gone in Kaduna. Groundbreaking has gone in Akwa Ibom, in Abia, and some other states, which we are trying to complement the effort to make sure Nigerians have those housing units. We have a private estate, because in FHA, we do what is called both direct building and also what we call JV, joint venture. As we speak today, we have an estate in Gusape, which is a joint venture. Gusape is in Abuja here. That almost close to 2,000 housing units have been going on, but that's under JV and SU. SU is called special units, where individuals can have access to land and build as well. And Gusape is one of the most, when I say lovable area in Nigeria. But we don't just build in cities. We also extend out of cities. That's why I told you Buhari, Odukpani, and Calabar. So as we speak now in FHA, I think we're going around about close to about 3,000-4,000 housing units. But remember, we are not funded. But yes, we have enough idea as agencies over the past.
Great. Listening to you talk about the FHA, I must say that the FHA is coming back to life, because before your appointment, there were reports about, that agency, becoming non-existent, as a result of, lack of efforts, to deliver on its mandate. We have spoken so well about what is going on at the moment, but I would like you to speak about how you intend to reposition the FHA, just, not just about some of these housing units you have talked about, but about the fact that there are issues as regards land grabbing, fake allocations coming from, staff of, well, I don't want to point fingers, but of course, people who are in the housing sector, who are staff of government involved in these fraudulent activities. What are you doing in that regard?
Oh, well, thank you very much. Like I keep saying every point in time, first of all, I would like to thank Mr. President for putting the round peg in the round hole. Second, like I said, I'm an agency under the ministry. I always like to thank my ministers, my PAMSECs, all my directors in the ministry, because there's one thing for you to get into a position, there's another thing for your leadership to allow you to operate. Yes, when we got into FHA, I'll be honest with you, FHA was dead. It was going into extinction. No doubt about that. Now FH has come back to life. Live in the sense that as we speak today, we are digitalized. The issue of land grabbing is over. Before we came in, we were not digitalized. As I speak today, we pay salaries as at when you know, like I told you, we are an IGR agency, we are not under government subvention. As I speak today, staff welfare has seriously been taken care of. Staffs now have the opportunity both for local and foreign training. Before I came in, I will be honest with you, for over 15, 16 years, staff could not even do local training, talk less of foreign training. And you can't be in the building sector. As we speak today, because the first thing is to make sure your staffs are okay. These are people that you're going to work with. These are people who give you their commitment. And people were stagnated in terms of promotion. Thanks to the ministry and the minister, in which more addendum was created into our gallogram. We now have more directors. People can now see they can get to the epitome of their career, which is a general manager. And rightly as I speak to you, when I came in, court cases were so voluminous. But immediately we started digitalization, and people realized that was the end of an era. As I speak to you, hardly in a month do we have one court case again. So what has digitalization also done to us in Federal Housing Authority? It has helped in revenue, blockage of leakages. Because before, people used to carry out files. So revenue has increased drastically, I'll be honest with you. This year alone, into the Federal Consolidated Revenue account, we've contributed over 3 billion on direct deduction, TSA. This was an agency that I met in minors and could not pay salary. We are now contributing back into the government through the TSA. So yes, we are back. We are moving gradually. And that's why I say this is the first time we are building 400 housing units in this country that is not government funded. And it's not private funded. It's
how you're doing that. I'll pause you now because I want to know how you're raising funds, to embark on such a huge project, because we know that housing is very expensive considering the cost of materials and all of that. But let's get to our guest who joins us via Zoom, Damola Akindolire. You've been following the conversation, listening to the director of public housing speak earlier. He talked about 250 housing units, being constructed, 2,000. I mean, that's just a scratch, compared to what is required in the housing sector. Of course, we need the private developers. Speak to us about the challenges that you face in terms of land acquisition, development, whatever it is, or even government, in regulating activities.
Good morning again, and good morning to all our viewers. I think I first of all must commend the leadership of the ministry and FHA for the work they are doing. We as developers, consultants in the built environment, this is the first time we're seeing what I'll call a multi-pronged approach to addressing the housing issues in Nigeria. Typically what we find in the past is a disjointed, or will I call it uncoordinated approach, where there are several policies that begin to conflict or even make it impossible for private sector to come into that space. As consultant to the Renewed Hope Cities program, one of the things we observed is that the ministry came up, under the leadership of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, came up with a multi-pronged approach, which is to say, how do we address housing deficit at different levels? Because the entire 15 million, as stated under the national housing data produced or validated by the ministry last week, does not sit in one end of the value chain. So we need multiple players to play across each of these value chain sectors to ensure that we can begin bit by bit. And that's why the cities program came about, where the Honorable Minister, the President, did the groundbreaking sometime on the 8th of February 2024. And by just simply providing access to the Kasana district, we have opened up a new district. The last time we saw a new district open up in Abuja was in the days of Gwarimpa, which was done by the Abacha regime. So when we begin to see government taking leadership by opening up new locations, providing access infrastructure, private developers can come in and play a more significant role, which is what we are seeing leading to the development of almost 3,000 housing units in Kasana. And this is exactly what we want to see going forward. We've also seen how government is taking the issue of affordability to the states through the collaboration with different government agencies like the MD had mentioned, which is to help cap the development of housing units to the below 15 million mark, which is also another good initiative considering what inflation has been in the past couple of years. I consider these prices sometimes unachievable, but somehow this government has been able to deliver on that mandate, which is something that we should consider commendable, even though 250 housing units compared to what we're talking about is still a drop in the ocean, but it's a start. And then we're looking forward to seeing when government commences the social housing. And this is where private sector too can come in and play. Like everywhere in the world, government doesn't have finite resources to deliver housing. Like, you know, it's a very capital intensive project. And therefore, the need for private sector to continue to collaborate with government is important. So the first thing is to mention that through policy, government is getting it right, which is beginning to attract confidence. With this policy now, we have seen how we've been able to attract over 100 billion of private sector capital into the Renewable Cities project. You know, so if the policy is not right, we don't think you would attract such capital. Even the MRIF, you will notice a combination of government contribution and private sector investment through the pension funds, which has also attracted another 100 billion. So we are beginning to see a lot more collaboration, which is the first time in the history of housing where the private sector confidence has come up to the point where close to about 200 billion of money of funding is coming into the housing sector. So there's something definitely going right in that space. However, we still need more to be done in the area of particularly how do we get funding at affordable rates into the system, because currently we have cost of funds in the high notes of mid-20s and up closer to the upper 30, which is between 25 and 30%. There's no way we can deliver affordable housing with this kind of interest rates. That's number one. Number two, we are seeing the prices of building materials spiraling out of control. Which is no fault of government. It's just simply the situation of the global economy. So there's need for us to begin to see how do we begin to bring some of these manufacturing concerns back home, and through policy investment, through policy education, how do we begin to domesticate or even encourage local production of goods that would help us bring down the cost of houses. Once we begin to see traction in these areas around the cost of funding, development of building manufacturers, development of building manufacturer materials in the local economy, which will spur jobs and create other opportunities, I think we will start to see some traction in the housing space. But just to cap it all, I think the government is, they started on the right note and they're going in the right direction.
Indeed, you know, a lot of Nigerians have complained about the cost, you know, of building materials. Even if they have land, it's always a problem. Let's return to Mr. Pemi. You know, let's talk about houses that have, you know, cost of living, rent hike. A lot of Nigerians are living outside where they usually work, making it difficult for them to come to work and go back home at the same time. We have colleagues who come out in the morning, you know, but they finish their work maybe by 2 or 5, but they can't go home because of the hold-up. It's very, very high. So what, compared to other administration, what is this government ensuring that maybe at the end of their tenure, Nigerians will be smiling and saying, I own a home in this country, and maybe it's a house rent to own, maybe you've paid outright or it's on a mortgage. How can we boost the confidence of Nigerians to believe that indeed whatever reforms or project in the housing sector that is taking place now will reflect in their life?
The government is concerned with what the Nigerians are going through, the housing rent, and the availability of houses. And that is the essence of the collaboration with the private developers through the public-private partnership, and we continue to work on it. And of recent, we had a workshop on national housing data and regulation of the built environment, because there's a hike in rent, and if you look at it, it's as a result of demand and supply. The rate of supply is lower than the rate of demand. But in other way, you will see that some of the landlords, once infrastructure is provided in a district, they will just jack up their rent. Meanwhile, they are not the one that provided the infrastructure. The infrastructure is provided by the government. And that's why we want to ensure that there's regulation. Agents, they are not helping the matter. They bring all sorts of charges into the system. Even inspection charges for you to take your prospective tenant to go and see a house, they charge you for it. Some are charging rent fee as much as 20%, and they are not part of the people that contributed toward the building of those houses. And so they are causing a lot of hardship for Nigerians. And that's why we are putting the regulation in place, and whosoever violated it, the law will catch up with them. And now we are moving outside Abuja. We are collaborating with developers towards Nasarawa State, around Maraba. We are trying to build an estate there so that more people can be accommodated. Everybody cannot be accommodated in the city center. But if we develop a district that is not far from the city center, and we have all the amenities there, we have the school, we have the infrastructure, we have the recreation center, we have the clinic, and everything is there. Yes, the rent will go down.
You just speak about Maraba, which is, around Abuja. I mean, we have 36 states, so what is happening in those states? But you talked about agents causing hardship on Nigerians. I'm thinking about the National Housing Program. If that program itself is not also causing hardship, because so much money has been spent in those buildings, and considering the siting of some of these projects, they're not being habited by people. Because, I'll give an example. The DICO National Housing project at the moment is, I don't know, some of the houses are becoming dilapidated. They were constructed, no one has lived in them, because they have, where it is located, there's no one who's going to stay there and work in Abuja, for example. So what informs the siting of some of these projects, and what are you doing to ensure that some of these projects that have been completed are habited by people?
Well, most of the national housing projects that we have, people are subscribing, states are subscribing. I have gone to more than 5 states to hand over the national housing program to them. The belief of most of the state government is that the federal government have the might to construct houses anywhere. And so they want to give you a remote location so that you go and develop the place, and very soon than later, then development will catch up. But by the time we finish our houses, you will see that it's difficult for people to move in because it's a bit far. And that's why we are making sure that they buy into it. And of recent, most of the land they give to us that is far, we rejected it and said, no, we are not going for this. If you want development in your state, you must give us a place that is closer to development, where we can easily get infrastructure to the place and people will move in immediately we finish. In most of the states, like Sokoto bought all the housing units. Even Obasanjo went there to commission it. About a month ago, I was in Makurdi to hand over about 116 housing units to the state government. In the Kwara State, we hand over the national housing to the state government. Zamfara State is almost finishing their own payment now. Enugu State has made payment, and many like that.
Are you also watching how, or if you like, those who purchase some of these houses? Is there no likelihood that people who are wealthy, politicians, purchase these houses, just keep them for, whatever reasons, and then the average Nigerian, which these houses are meant to serve or are meant to, cater for, do not have access to it? What are you doing in terms of ensuring that those who purchase are those who actually need homes and not people for other reasons?
Yes. The government of the state, I think the first of their responsibility is to make provision for their people. And like the one we sell to individual, we make sure that it's only individual we sell to or government institution. We don't sell to a company that will profit from it. And so, but the one we give to the state, we know that it's the citizen of those states that will have it. You cannot come and say, oh, you want to buy 2 units, 5 units. No, we won't sell to you because we want it to reach every individual until the house is finished.
What if they use other people to buy for them and they sort of own these houses at the same time they rent it out?
If that one is
How
beyond,
do you track it?
That one is beyond what we can control. But we make sure that whosoever is going to buy the house have a means of income, he can afford it.
Okay, you can afford it. Okay, let's bring in Honorable Joe into this conversation about siting of these buildings, for Nigerians, and also let's talk about the issue of federal housing in Lagos, like the Festac federal housing, where, they are complaining that there are issues arising from the mortgage and all that. Can you talk to us about it, and what solutions have you been able to prefer for residents living in that area?
Well, thank you very much. Just a bit to support my director. What the new government have done, if I go into Festac fully, what this new government have done, I
asked you this question because you've been accused of, possessing the lands and all that, repossessing the land. Well,
it's now time to talk, and I've talked about federal housing in the past, and I want to talk about federal housing at present. Do you believe in Festac, even in Guarimpa, commercials, residential houses are being built without no land allocation, are being built without no building approval? I want to give you a scenario. In Festac, as we speak, Festac was developed in 1977. 30% of the homeowners of Festac as at 1977 were still owing us up to 12-point-something billion. 30% have not paid 1 naira to government.
As rent or as what?
Home ownership, 1977. I sat with the resident association chairman, the president. We brought out this list. People have been, some people, 30%, over 30% have been living in houses free since 1977. It is only in Nigeria you can do that. Now, a lot of our land, because FHA, as an authority, once a land is ceded to us, it is believed it is in our control. Then you now see people building on our land. People are born in our land without paying a dime to government. I can speak to you today, 60% of houses, both government and private, in Festac Phase 2 doesn't have land allocation. People
have not been aided by staff of the FHA? Because
that's what has been in the past. But presently I go for enforcement. Now presently there's technology to drone. When I first came in, what did I did? We procured drone. Because this is a landmass area of land. So what did we do? We flew a drone around all our land in Festac, Abuja, call it everywhere. We decided to know the number of houses available, the number of lands available. The next thing you see somebody fencing a land, show us your land allocation paper.
So how do they get access to the lands?
In the past, because there was no technology. In the past, no enforcement. So my coming in as a managing director, going on for enforcement, now became a thorn in the flesh. What is the managing director doing here? Why is he not in Abuja? A lot of land. I will tell you, there's a land for water reticulation. Everybody in Festac, the master plan of Festac has been distorted. That's the truth.
Yeah, I saw it the last time.
It has been distorted. Now everybody in the houses, they have borehole. And we said this is a land here. People need houses to build on. You can't just watch the land. You need houses. You need to give allocations. You need to make revenue. We are complaining about 15 million housing units, and we are watching lands owned by area boys, owned by legal people. And I told them, no, government must be responsive. And that was why we've called in government also in Lagos State. Thank God for the governor of Lagos State, Governor Sanwo-Olu, to come into it because they collect taxes in Festac. So when you collect taxes in a state, you must also be responsive. So the Second Avenue, the Seventh Avenue, please, those people shouting, tell them to show you their land allocation papers.
So are you repossessing some of those lands?
We are repossessing and we are reallocating.
What about the houses?
The houses, it's even a problem. How do I evict a something-year-old man? I said this is 2 billion. We said with the resident association. From 12 billion, I divided it by 6 billion. If I start doing for future for 70, 80-year-old man, what will you people call me in Nigeria? That's why our money in Festac are running into billions. But this is the first time they are seeing government coming in since we left Lagos for Abuja, coming back into any looks and crannies of Festac. I move in there because technology has shown us the same thing in Guarimpa. This is our land. Produce our papers. No land allocation. At the initial stage, it was even gunshots. They were firing gun at me in Abuja.
You were attacked?
Yeah. But thank God for the police. Thank God for a responsive government. You will see somebody owing up to government land close to 15 hectares of land in different locations multiplied together in this Abuja. Where are your papers?
So how can the common man get access to, a home if this continues to happen?
Do you even know with court judgments? The most unfortunate thing when I came, with court judgment, people don't even respect court judgment. That's why I had to come in a kind of enforcement order. This is a court judgment. This person owns this house. You are sitting on the land. Lawful people of over 20-something years that have been allocated land, the illegality people know that. But what have we been doing? We are restoring them back. This is your land allocation given to you by government. You must go. You can see some people, and that's why if you look at Festac, when the issue of kidnapping started, Festac was a hub during the days of Evans. And it's all these lungus, areas, leeways. So what have we been doing now? We moved in the mobile detachment. We go out for enforcement. We allocate the lands. What are the lands for? We will not come to your land if you have your papers. But if you don't have your papers, this is government land. You will now be telling me that you've been living there, you are citizen, you are the owner of the land.
So is it only Festac you are interested in?
Everywhere. Here in Lugbe, here in Gusape, everywhere we have FHA land nationwide. But some areas you have people who have the liquidity, who want to fight government. And that's why the two most problematic areas is Guanipa and Festac. And that's why you have the mighty and mighty. And I told them, no. If I come to your house, I will tell you, I did a demolition. Was shown in NTA, your station, about 3 weeks ago. A retired PAMSEC, 77-year-old woman, who served as a diplomat. FHA gave her a land in 1994. Only for this woman to retire after serving this country meritoriously. And his house were overtaken by these so-called hoodlums and developers. The woman came to me. The woman is alive today. The woman came to me. He said, I've been on this matter for over 16 years.
this?
So one of the things we have done, like I said, the crop subsidy initiative is one of the initiatives that we have brought to the table, where you can imagine freezing the cost of a particular housing unit since 2023 till date, despite the fact that the cost of cement has moved from 3.5 to 12,500 as at last week. The prices of houses have not changed. We have also brought in our technical expertise to ensure that the design concept of what we call affordability, is properly optimized and meets the need of the average Nigerian. That's number two. Number three is to bring in the use of technology. How do we bring in the use of technology to enhance the speed of delivery and enhance the quality of delivery? So these are things that the private sector bring to the table. The efficiency of development, of delivery, that's what the private sector brings to the table. And once government can continue to provide us with the basic instrument, like I said, land, infrastructure access, we'll begin to see these housing deficits come down. 15 million is by no measure is something that any government, can single-handedly deal with in view of the other priorities that government has. But once we begin to see more satellite cities developed, developers can come in, deploy their expertise, like I mentioned earlier on, put in place cross-subsidy approach to make sure that the houses are affordable, within ranges that people can afford. I'm sure we should start seeing some traction in terms of the effects of the impact on housing deficits in Nigeria very soon.
Yeah, we hope so. Let's bring in Mr. Akpemi into this conversation. All these things cannot be possible without human capital, people who build. The minister has talked about job opportunities in this sector, and he talked about a model to achieve that. Can you talk about that model?
Well, the housing sector is a sector that engages Nigerians. When you involve in the housing sector, it has a multiplier.
The next question, she asked the question.
Go ahead.
It has a multiplier effect. It's like the housing we are building. To build the units, you need about 25 labor to accomplish it. And each labor collect about 15,000 naira in a day. And if you multiply that in a month, you will see that is a huge sum, more than the minimum wage. And I encourage government to pump more money into the housing sector. If there's money, we will be able to meet the needs of the people. Because without money, there's less the ministry can do. We have had MD, FHA, even despite the fact that they were not given any subvention. You see the effort they are putting in. But if the government can give them money, they will build more house, and more Nigeria will have houses and a roof over their head.
All right, many thanks, Director of Public Buildings at the Ministry of Housing. Let's get to the Director, FHA now, Managing Director, of course. You've talked about all that you have done, in terms of sanitizing the sector. But speak to us about what the prospects are, in terms of housing development in the country as regards your agency. Are there states where you're currently planning to develop houses? And speak to us about affordability issues too, and also accessibility for average Nigerians in these states where you intend to develop.
Thank you very much. Please, before I quickly go into that, when we mean developers, they are serious developers, please. You could see what Damola just said. When you have serious people, the government is going to deal with you. And to be honest, this is the first time, and I'll say it categorically, that developers are having a good time. He has spoke very well, but not mindful, like we said, we still have some bad ones who doesn't realize that the game has changed. Now, in terms of affordability, first of all, I would like to thank the state governors because land is a critical component. In all the states we've gone to, we are giving land for free. Compensations were paid for the land for free. We've done groundbreaking, we are to move in.
Could you list the states?
The states we've done Kaduna, we've done Akwa Ibom, we've done groundbreaking in Umuahia. We're about to do another one in Ekiti and Osun. Abuja, like I said, projects have been completed. GB is a new city, POSAMI scheme of 1,500 units completed. To be honest with you, Mr. President, I've not even decided. We don't even know if it's a POSAMI scheme, because you also have to take care of the military. People are going to defend us in all these situations we are. And Mr. President might decide later and says, okay, will it be free? This was done by private developer. That's the truth. 1,500 housing units was done by Braze and Hamas in less than 6 months. And government provided infrastructure. And at this juncture, sometimes Governor Wike, the Minister of FCT, extremely well. Now, these are the factors leading to affordability. When the cost of land is not there, when compensations are being paid, when taxes and all these things, you realize that government will be able to build, and money is being pumped into the sector. And this is the first time I'm saying it. After Shagari, this is the first time you'll be hearing, if President Tinubu decides to name those things after himself, which I don't know, the kind of houses going on right now, and I'm telling you, in FHA, since I came in 2024, 2-bedroom, I still retained it at 12 million. 1-bedroom, 9 million. 3-bedroom, 15 million. Even cost of cement, cost of this, cost of that has gone up. But the government is making sure that there must be room for affordability. One of the things I also want to beg Nigerians, I've been saying it, because of what have happened in the past, we don't even trust anything again. Oh, Nigerians will say they won't even give us. If you go to apply, you will not get. And I can tell you, even I won't speak for the ministry, but at least I'm under the ministry. Innocent people are applying and they are getting it. The only thing you have to do is that there are processes, either in the formal sector or in the informal sector. And a lot of informal sectors are even getting it more than formal sector. What do you want to do? You know, informal sector are well organized. If you have association of market women, association of plumbers, all you just have to do is, those people will come as a bulk, their leadership will stand for them as guarantor. Because what government wants, or anybody that invests this money, is how do I recoup my money back? But you see, a lot of Nigerians sits at home. And you know, men, I'm sorry, we do all our talks in beer parlor. Most people don't mind them. If you don't know this, I'm innocent people working. We have websites, we have everywhere, and they apply. You see, creation of new cities, we make this thing. GB is a new city. Karasana is a new city. Like my director said, the last time we had that opportunity was Guanipa and Lube. Now Karasana has been created. You need to go there. Sometimes not just talking. Now you could see going towards Kubwa. Lots of government agencies are there. Now, once you have that building with infrastructure, you need to go to Karasana. Kabusu is about to start. The president has approved at FEC for the road construction. Kabusu is called Maitama 2. It links Abuja at the back with Nasarawa. This is in another 10 years. This is a new city. You must create new city outside the old city, and that's what Guanipa. Another 10 years, Guanipa will overtake Wuse. That's the truth. If you Guanipa is 24-hour life. Now, by the time we start going out in Kabusu, in GB, GB is a town on its own now. It's a town. If you go to GB now, you won't believe. Football field is there, gym, church, supermarket, everything. You are going to have about 5,000 to 10,000 inhabitant people, even though it's POSAMI scheme. But we expect that a wife with the children, families and everything, and infrastructures are there. So the government is doing a lot. What we keep telling people, don't just be docile and sit at home. And you keep saying, oh, it's not affordable. There are ways, there are mortgage bank. That's where you have the mortgage bank. All mortgage bank needs to do is to profile you. Either you are formal or you are informal. And they will find the right affordable housing unit for you, in which you find out 50,000, 40,000 will be deducted. I don't pray for anybody to come through a landlord. I faced landlord in my life. Even when you're at work, because you're in a rented apartment, you can't even sleep. You don't know if the cost of rent will go up the following year. You don't know if the cost, and one of the things is, as government is moving outward the town, people should also embrace, once they have all these, Milton Keynes is an example in UK. When London became so crowded, they started pushing, they developed Milton Keynes. And now everybody wants to live in Milton Keynes in UK, in London, just a bit outside London. So it's affordable for now. It's just for us to know the track. The mortgage banks are there. And we have a, please, I'm saying it on national TV. Once you know you have a means of livelihood, don't assume. If you cannot get in this area, you get, and the government have pumped a lot of money into the housing sector, not in the ministry alone. I'll be honest, they've not pumped enough, but in the private, Murphy, 200 billion naira was pumped into Murphy. Murphy is a portfolio under financing, and I stand to be corrected here. Except Dubai, that they build skyscrapers, except America, that vast of land and money, Nigeria is where the real housing business is going off massively. But we might say everybody who don't want to build outside Oban. That's why the government is there. To now say, yes, you can afford in Gariki, you cannot afford it, but it's not by most everybody should stay in Gariki. Let's go to another new town, just like we Lugbe and Guanipa, and that's what the ministry have done. That's what FHA. Now, 400,000 units in Kubwa. No, in Buhari, sorry. You can imagine the traffic, just 2 minutes to law school. In another 5-6 years, we are going on phase 2. It's right. Another 400.
Thank you, Managing Director. Indeed, I'm sure Nigerians are excited, hearing some of this and knowing that they can now, follow the process, like you have said, and own homes. We'll take a break now. When we come back, we'll read some of the comments we have from our viewers, and of course, our guests are still very much at us to respond to them. Please stay with us. All right, many thanks for staying with us. It's still Good Morning Nigeria, live on the network service of the NTA. Quickly take a look at some of the comments we have from our viewers. I have some, Jimmy also has some, so I'll just read a few that I have. This one says, good morning, my name is Favor from Bayelsa. This issue of housing is really becoming a problem. We cannot talk about housing without the price of rent payments. Is there no way the government will regulate the prices of house rent, mostly in Bayelsa and Port Harcourt? Then it says, how can a civil servant access some of these houses? That's also a part of the question. Of course, another one says, good morning all. Hope all discussed is reality. We are civil servants for years and our money is deducted from salary for FHA. But anytime we pick interest to look for a house, things are made complicated. Where are these houses located? Their prices, rate of interest, method of payment, and duration. Please make things easier for us. We have used our energy and time to give our quota to our country. Please let what you have said be the reality on ground. That's coming from Abdul Kadri. Thank you so much for your message. Of course, I can verify that's what has been said are actually the facts on ground. So of course, you want to follow up with the FHA and the ministry. This one says, good morning, Nigerians. What is the mode of subscription for the FHA housing in Guzape? Another one says, happy to have this program live and direct. Please, do you have any concern, any building project running in Kano State? Location, price, and mode of payment. Thank you. Majida Ahmed sent that. All right, you want to read some of the...
Yeah, I have some here. Omonido said, good morning. How can someone access all these houses? And if someone needs money to build in his hometown, how can someone get the money? And Mohammed Awal Musa Afame, Greenwall Observers Limited, Kano said, question, with the removal of fuel subsidies driving up the cost of cement, transport and local labor, what subsidized building material initiatives are being deployed to support communities-led self-construction? Question 2, how can the National Housing Fund, that's NHF, be restructured to increase its maximum loan cap beyond 5 million naira, which is no longer sufficient to build a high-quality home in Nigeria? And another one said, instead of building houses for Nigerians, why not regulate the prices of houses rent in Nigeria? And Mrs. Esther Gwagwalada said, good morning. Please, the cost of payment for houses depriving us of other basic things of life. How can one be eligible to housing under government mortgages? Excuse me, please. Another Alaji Garko from Karusa said, "Good morning, Nigeria. Good morning, presenters and your guests in the studio. Shelter is the most essential amenity for human beings after food. Due to the high cost of building materials in the country today, low-income earners can't afford a house. Federal and state government should collaborate with house developers to build more houses that low-income earners can be able to pay installmentally." Another one said he didn't put a name. "I would kindly like to ask the Honorable Minister to throw some light on any existing or any plan to introduce a policy to address the issue of void properties all across the country. While we are battling with housing deficit, we also have so many unoccupied properties that could have contributed to reducing the deficit. We need a robust policy to deal with that. 2, we also need harsh penalties to deter land and property hoarding and speculation. 3, how can we make housing more affordable to the poor? Currently, it does appear to be so with the government or developers building the units. Thank you so much." There is an housing expert. Is that then?
Okay, thank you. Somebody mentioned about controlling rent. If you look at the issue of rent, it belongs to the residual list. There's a list to which the federal government can do. What we can do is to provide a regulatory framework for the subnational to subscribe to, because it's within the control of the state and the local government. And I believe one of the ways the rent can be controlled, so that if there's an the price before, that 1 bedroom is 8.5, and 2 bedroom is 11.5, and 3 bedroom is 12.5.
Are there houses, which of the states do you have that available now that people can subscribe to?
The Renew Hope we have in Katsina, we have in Sokoto, we have in Kano, we have in Yobe, we have in Gombe, we have in Nasarawa, we have in Makurdi, we have in Akwa Ibom, we have in Delta, we have in Osun, we have in Oyo State.
Do you have in Maiduguri, or it's still in process?
No, the Maiduguri, we just awarded it, so it will soon take off.
MD of FHA, you want to respond to some of the comments?
Thank you very much. My first, in terms of rent, we live in a capitalist environment. It's about forces of demand and supply. Some of these things are very difficult in capitalist system. The truth must be said. Because my director have said initially, once an infrastructure comes into a place, people take advantage. You can imagine even in Abuja, once a bridge is done by Wike, from 3 million, it goes 10 million connected, because people now know. Now, that government is doing its own, and that's why I said in controlling this rent issue, because it's mostly private owned. It's about the new city government is trying to do now. Karasana, GB, Kabusu, all these areas, so that people start moving out, provided that It's not provided. All this infrastructure are there. If you go to Kasara now, where the Ministry of Housing is, there's road. You go to GB, where we are doing, there's road. I think that will help a little bit. Then future development will come. Now, one of the things I'll keep begging Nigerians is this. Once a project is about to start, and we listen to news, we watch TV, subscribe early. Houses or housing projects are not projects that you think you get at finishing because of population, urban migration. Everybody wants to live in a decent and affordable. Most times, we get it wrong. We don't subscribe at the early stage. When you see all these adverts, it is now when Mr. President or Honorable Minister go and commission an MD, you now want to subscribe. People have paid 2-3 years before that time. So, it is not when the project is done. I can tell you the Karasana was done 2-3 years ago. That's why I always tell Nigerians, stand up. My director have said a lot of things. Just because in FHA, we have a head office in Abuja, zonal offices in 6 states,